So, in light of the recent release of Cyberpunk 2077, this shit right here has been on my mind. I will grant you it's not new to Cyberpunk 2077. That game has many issues unique to itself, but this one is a holdover from Cyberpunk in general. So let's talk about that. Fair warning, because of the nature of the content here, this video will contain many instances of the word psycho and descriptions of a horrendous amount of ableism and harmful stereotypes about mental illness in general. Filtered through a lens of cyberpunk dystopia, sure, but still. Also, the extent of my experience with cyberpunk is through ttrpg podcasts and the like, particularly Polygon's Cyberpunk Red series, which, because I follow and listen to decent fucking people, have not, to my memory, touched on this particular thing. Still, I'm gonna talk about it anyway because Jesus Christ. So, cyberpsychosis. It's been a thing in Cyberpunk since its initial release in 1988. Which is not a defense, it's actually the harshest condemnation I can think of. It's been 32 years. The people behind this property have had plenty of time to listen to criticism and rethink their actions. And yet here it still is. So what exactly is cyberpsychosis? Well, let me just in part paraphrase, in part directly quote the wiki here. It's a dissociative disorder brought on by being too much of a cyborg, which makes someone view other humans as inherently inferior. Other symptoms include decay of self-preservation, distancing or disregard from friends and family, and poor or impulsive outbursts or acts. They start to identify more with machines than people and stop doing things that used to give them pleasure, eating, sleeping, socializing, sex, etc. Eventually, human interaction becomes irritating, and then irritation morphs into contempt and finally violence. Not all, cyberpsychos, yes, that's what they're called, are physically violent. Some have fragmented personalities, some are kleptomaniacs, others are compulsive liars. But violence towards living things, especially people, is most common. So where the fuck do I even begin with all of that? Well, the obvious place would be to point out that there is a massive issue in painting someone with a dissociative disorder as inherently dangerous when in fact mentally ill people are more likely to be the victims of violence than perpetrators. It's fucked up and we should not do it. Then, of course, they specify that those who are more likely to develop cyberpsychosis are those who have any of the following: low empathy or psychological instability. Even beyond the fact that this is not even implying, really outright stating that people with psychosis or low empathy are monsters, or at least more susceptible to becoming monsters, tacking psychological instability onto the end there casts a real wide and nebulous net because, you know what? That's not an official diagnosis. You can't diagnose someone with psychological instability. There's no set definition here. I'm pretty sure I could easily fall into that net, and as far as I know, all I have is anxiety, depressive episodes, and probable CPTSD. So essentially, if you're sometimes too sad or numb to get out of bed in the morning and you have a couple prosthetics, guess what? In the world of cyberpunk, you might become a heartless monster. Or maybe you'll get lucky and you'll be one of those who isn't physically violent. God, I hate all of this so much. But either way, you'll definitely not be fit for polite society.
Could you excuse me?
And to make an already fucked situation oh so much fucking worse, guess what? Guess fucking what? The police of this world have specialized units called MaxTac, or, Psycho Squads, among other names they seem to have a lot, that exist specifically to subdue or kill people with cyberpsychosis. Many of the members of which also are teetering on the edge of cyberpsychosis, because can't have an uber-violent police presence without blaming mental illness for how dangerous they are, I guess. Only way to fight a dangerous, violent, mentally ill person is with another dangerous, violent, mentally ill person. Only this time it's okay because they're police. Now, I'd actually be fine with that, minus the whole they're also mentally ill bit. seeing as this is a dystopia, if only the rest of the entire concept of cyberpsychosis wasn't like this. I mean, the police already target mentally ill people at a higher rate in our actual real-life world. It's not hard to envision a dystopian future where something like this might actually exist. Likewise, it's easy to imagine corporate and government watch lists for people who might pose a threat, as exists in the world of Cyberpunk for people who are close to the edge. People who are considered at risk are required to register and go to therapy, and so long as they keep acting normal enough, they're in the clear to continue with their lives. If they don't, however, they could very well just get killed. But on the off chance they survive and a therapist who can help piece their personality back together, I'm not even gonna touch how fucked up the whole idea of cybernetics fragmenting someone's personality and that turning them into a danger is, given the stigmas that exist towards DID. Just suffice it to say, yikes. Point is, they could recover, someday maybe even enough to install cybernetics again. Joy! Again, I have no problem with violent police or government watch lists or extrajudicial killings because, again, dystopia, and also just our real world. Those things exist in real life. The problem here is that the text is very explicitly establishing people with cyberpsychosis as inherently dangerous, which takes these things from being horrible human rights abuses to being things that can be argued to be justified. What does it matter if she could have recovered? She was killing people, she needed to be put down. That sort of reasoning, which is horrendous for multiple reasons, and brings me once again back to, can we stop doing this? Again, mentally ill people are far more likely to be victims of violence, and shit like this doesn't help. This kind of stuff alienates and harms people who might otherwise have enjoyed these games. It spreads harmful stereotypes. Bringing me to the final point of this video, which is beyond how fucked up everything else already was, the problem with the fact that the effects of cybernetics on the risk of developing this thing are cumulative. So we're back round again to that good old ableist trope of, oh, you can be disabled, just not too disabled. We've seen it before in Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, no doubt we shall see it again. And no, I do not care that cybernetics in Cyberpunk are not always installed for medical reasons. That does not, actually, fascinatingly enough, make this better because the effect is the same. The more of your body is mechanical, the less human you are, says Cyberpunk. Which is of course just a load of bullshit, but it is a trope that's unfortunately present in a lot of sci-fi. This question of when you stop being a human and become a machine. It's a loaded topic, to say the least, and can very easily become incredibly ableist. In fact, I'd struggle to give an example of it that wouldn't end up sliding quickly towards ableism as it does here. Though this is less sliding towards ableism and more jumping directly into the deep end. It's tiring and disheartening to see things like this still spread, but honestly not surprising. Mental health, especially dissociative disorders, are still so heavily stigmatized. Ableism still exists in so many forms, and I am, as always, tired. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, consider liking it and maybe subscribing. I will be back here Thursday after next. Bye.